Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is George Kingori and today I'm going to speak of an interesting topic. Are electric cars economically viable in Kenya? Why am I speaking about electronic cars? This is because majority of the car makers around the world are now moving predominantly into electric cars and hydrogen cars. But today I'm going to tackle on the topic of electric cars. Are they economically viable in Kenya? One small difference, which is the blue line across the grille and the badge EGolf at the back, while the other one has a Golf, but the rest is almost the same. Of course, the wheels are a little bit more aerodynamically sufficient or more efficient in the EGolf as compared to the normal Golf, but those are just small minute differences. By and large, they look the same, they feel the same, unless you tell somebody specifically it is an electric car, or they know and they look at the things that they know to look at, they would never really know. Of course, apart from the obvious, electric cars are much more quiet as compared to the petrol cars. By and large, the look and feel is the same. What are we looking at? If you were to buy the EGolf, now the purchase cost in Kenya, the 2019 version, would cost you 6,300,000 to import and get it ready for use in Kenya with all the taxes paid. If you were to get the same 2019 Golf but in petrol, it could cost you 4,800,000 Kenya shillings, or around $47,000. So obviously the electric Golf is much more expensive. Again, you'll be able to get around a 36 kilowatt hour battery. So that is what you get with the EGolf. So what are the running costs? And I want us to look at the figures. If you were to run the car from 0 to say 100,000 kilometers, or at least for 100,000 kilometers, the petrol car would run around 7,605 liters on a combined cycle that assumes around 50% highway and 50% town driving. So coming to around 7,605 liters for the whole 100,000 kilometers, and at the current rate of 129 Kenya shillings, coming to around 981,045 Kenya shillings, or around $9,800. If you were to get the EGolf, you would have to use electricity equivalent to 7,634 kilowatt hours. So it's kilowatt hours. And the current base price or lowest cost, average cost is 18 Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour for consumers, household consumers. So which translate to 137,405 Kenya shillings. A world of difference between the petrol and the electricity. So meaning that running these cars will be most economically efficient if it was an EGolf or an electric Golf, as compared to the petrol version, which will be more than 5 times the cost of petrol at this cost. Again, you cannot look at consumables only as fuel. The other consumables like oil, plugs, filters, labor, and all these things, because electric cars have much fewer running components and much fewer consumables, as things like plugs, things like filters, things like oils, and things like that. The amount of money that you would use on average, these are figures that I collected from websites that have these figures. The EGolf will cost you around 70,000 Kenya shillings just to maintain it, and this would be mostly in the tires, mostly in the brake pads, and simple other components. However, the petrol Golf will cost you 450,000 Kenya shillings, which is averaged out for all minor and major services, oil, plugs, filters, labor, and all other components. Majority of them that are not the same with the EGolf. For So the cost of running this car will be much higher for a petrol car compared to an EGolf. But the question is, will the cost of acquisition and the cost of running at one point, will the EGolf, the electric Golf, be much more cheaper? Of course, when you run this car for more than 100,000 kilometers, then the mathematics change in the favor of the EGolf, despite having a bigger purchase cost of 6.3 million Kenyan shillings. This makes owning a Golf, an electric Golf, much more economical in the long term if you're going to have this car for 100,000 kilometers plus. Then get an EGolf. Again, if somebody was to gift you a car, then you would rather tell this person to give you an electric Golf. Why? Because running it will be much cheaper. Just imagine, just for fuel, it would cost you 137,405 for 100,000 kilometers. And if you were to do 10,000 kilometers every single year, then it would cost you around 1,374 only to run every single year. So there you have your mathematics. If you were to get it as a gift, get an EGolf. If you were to purchase it new and bring it to the country, then use it for more than 100,000 kilometers. So what other implications does electric cars have in the Kenyan economy? The first thing that is less than economical, of course, is the obvious environmental impact. A normal car would be able to give out 111 grams of CO2 every kilometer. So for the 100,000 kilometer, the EGolf, assuming that electric sources in Kenya are carbon free, and by and large they are carbon free, around 80% of the whole grid is from renewable sources. So the electric car would give less, around 20% of the 111, so coming to around 22 grams of carbon every single kilometer, coming to around 22,000 tons of CO2 for the 100,000 kilometers. But the Golf would emit 111,000 tons of CO2 for the 100,000 kilometers, so more than 5 times. However, if the electric grid in Kenya would go more green, up to 100%, then the CO2 figures of the fuel consumed by the electric Golf will be zero. Again, the other impact other than environment will be, how is this good for the economy? You can imagine that the biggest chunk of the money that goes out of Kenya, or foreign exchange that goes out of the country, is because of purchase of fuel. However, because you are not purchasing this fuel and are using electricity that is available locally, you'll be able to cut down on the importation, and you would improve the imbalance of trade between Kenya and other countries. Again, the value of the Kenya shilling will go up because you would be demanding less of the dollar, because you are demanding less of foreign oil coming into the country. Again, companies that generate electricity would make the difference and will be able to make more money. Let me give you a context. An electric car, the EGolf, by being charged 3 times only, will be able to consume the equivalent amount of power that it would require a household to run for a whole month. 3 charges equivalent to a whole month running for a household, ordinary household in Kenya, with electric heating, electric water heating, and things like that. So you can see just how much power would be required from Kenya Power and the electrical generation companies. In fact, they would not need to push and fight against solar, but rather they would just have to use this means of encouraging electric cars and having the initial, or being the first peoples to be able to come up with electric charging infrastructure, which they could also charge at a little premium for the fast charging infrastructure. Of course, this is a plus and a plus because you are generating a product that is produced locally and used locally. And again, because the EGolf runs with less consumables, with less changes of equipments and things that are breaking down, then there will be also additional less importation of these components and spare parts that are imported into the country to help service these petrol cars. However, for the EGolf, they will be much lower. So by and large, electric cars will be good for the environment, they will be good for the economy, they will be good for Kenya Power, and they will be good for the wastage that we see in the water that is spoiled by oil spillage and things like this. So clearly, for long-term use, electric cars are worth buying and using. I hope that you are learning, you are growing, and you are becoming better in your financial journey. So thank you and enjoy your